Oi, you, come here. Check out this alto saxophone. Well, this little fella is by Gear4music. You can see it on the bell just there. And the model is called the AS100V. But Gear4music call this their vintage model. And that's because of the finish that they've given it. And yes, it's clearly meant to replicate a vintage style. It doesn't look vintage to me. It looks like a modern horn trying to look vintage, but it still looks cool. It's something different, and I get what they're trying to say. But of course, that's purely cosmetic, and it doesn't really make any difference to how it plays, but it does look nice. Now I'm going to take you around the saxophone because there's a lot of features on this which are strikingly similar to a very famous brand in Japan that makes saxophones. I wonder who that could be. Well, I'm going to take you around and then I'm going to enlighten you unless you already know. So let's start with this high F sharp key. This one here. Now look at this funny looking thing. That looks very familiar if you're in the know. And if you don't know, that is exactly the same as a Yanagisawa key. That is the same as the Yanagisawa high F sharp. They've even got the same underslung neck. Also, the brace that's on the front of the neck is the same as a Yanagisawa. The front F is the same as the Yanagisawa, this front F auxiliary key. They've even got the same double arm on the C key and then the low B key. Yes, it's just inspired by that brand. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And it's certainly not a blatant copy of a Yanagisawa alto. Even the angle of this key is the same. It's so obvious to me who they've copied from. But if you're not sure, this is a Yanagisawa. Check it out. It's pretty close, isn't it? But it's the norm in the saxophone world. A lot of these companies are copying the more boutique brands, the more expensive models. It's just their way of saying, look, we've made a great saxophone too. A lot of instruments, actually, they seem to copy each other, but I don't care. As long as the saxophone plays okay, that's all that matters. Now this I would consider as a budget saxophone. Now to anybody who's just starting out on saxophone, I can assure you this feels very nice under the fingers. Have a listen to the sound as well. That sounds very nice. It's ringing like a bell. When I got this saxophone, there were some issues on it. It was a little bit, how do I say, damaged. There was no smashes, nothing like that. Just the key work was out of line. The low E flat, the C was a bit off. Also the right hand stack and a couple of things here. But I put some time into it and now it's playing absolutely fine. And I got this instrument as part of a trade. So that's why I wasn't too bothered about the condition of it, because I knew I could fix it up. And now that I fixed it up, I figured let's show everybody, because I'm going to say something right out now. A few years ago, when people mentioned Gear4music saxophones, I kind of rolled my eyes and was a bit of a snob. I mean, was I justified? Maybe I was, because I tried one a few years ago. Maybe they were just starting out, and it wasn't exactly, let's just say, a fun instrument to play. It was not so nice. But this one seems very different. I mean, I can tell immediately the key work, the layout feels a lot smoother, and it feels that they've done a lot more research. I mean, clearly they've researched Yanagisawa and just copied it, and they've put that into their instrument, and it does feel very nice. Check out the screw next to my wiggly finger here. That's an adjustment screw, and that's on a cheap budget instrument. You don't get that on a lot of expensive instruments. So yeah, well done Gear4music, putting that sort of detail into a saxophone at this price. I think it's a pretty nice thing to have, especially for people like myself who would be adjusting it. It's a very good feature. But overall it looks nice and it feels nice, but how does it play? Well, let's find that out now, and I'll catch you lot after the demos. So there you have it. You've just heard this this Gear4music AS100 vintage model, and it played very okay. It did take me a little time to adjust my embouchure to get the tuning right, but if you're an absolute beginner, your teacher will help you with that, and it won't take long, and it's not so bad. It's actually okay. And the only reason I'm adjusting my embouchure is because I'm used to playing certain other instruments. So when you play something like this, it'll be fine. You'll get used to it, your teacher will help you, and you'll be playing nicely in tune. If you've got a tuner and a metronome, that's always a good thing to have. Something like this, it's got a tuner and it's got a metronome on there, and it does the job. It's really good. And it was free. And if you're interested, if you're curious, it's a free app called Sound Corset, and you can change the keys and change what instrument you want. You can see I've got it on concert pitch on that side, and then for B flat instruments on that, because I was tuning my tenor saxophone earlier. But that's a very useful tool. I recommend people use a tuner and a metronome when they're practicing. It's something I do, and it helps a lot. Now back to this. The playability was actually quite fun, but once I was locked in and I was settled and I was just happily noodling up and down, I wouldn't have thought it was a cheap budget instrument. It felt very okay. There was nothing wrong with it, and I'm pleasantly surprised. This is a huge improvement on the models that they had about 10 years ago, and I'm glad about that because I really didn't like them ones. But this one is very okay. If I'm doing something like a saxophone DJ gig and I'm worried about, let's just say, drunk people who like to say, oh, you got a saxophone, and then they try to grab it like that, I think something like this would be a nice option. It looks good, and I wouldn't be too worried if it got damaged, although I wouldn't be too happy, but it's better than having my custom-made saxophone broken up. I'd rather have damages to this than a saxophone which is 10 times the price. This is more than acceptable for doing gigs like that, as a backup horn, as somebody who's starting out. But that's just my view about this alto. Maybe you've got one out there and you love it to bits, and that's absolutely fantastic. And if I've missed something, feel free to write in the comment section below. Or if you've got any questions about this or anything else to do with saxophones or saxophone gear, just write them in the comment section below. And it's just nice to interact with you lot who watch my channel. I respect that a hell of a lot. And what I do respect even more is when you click on the like button. And if you're a new viewer to my channel, feel free to click on the subscribe as well. That doesn't cost anything, and it makes my stupid head smile. And then you'll see me in the next video, and next time I'll bring my cup of tea.